One of my very early mentors in the hospitality space she told me one day, she's like, if you're not doing something every day to teach someone how to do something that you know how to do, then you've wasted your time.
Thanks for coming in. Drop your bags and welcome to the Room Key. Today, I am exceptionally excited to have Jake Isaacs come on to the podcast. He's got some very interesting stories. Jake, when I first heard about what you've done in hospitality, the only thing in my mind is Winston Wolfe from Pulp Fiction. You're coming in with your tux and you are taking care of business.
Taking care of business. Exactly.
But first off, I love origin stories.
Sure.
Jake, where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. So that's kind of a funny story. By the time I turned 18, my parents had moved 12 times. And so I have lived all across the United States. It's been just a real blessing to be able to experience so much of this great country. So for the longest time, I told people that I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Okay. But that's actually a lie because my real birthplace was Nashua, New Hampshire. Not even the same state. Okay. But I could spell Boston a lot easier than I could spell Nashua, New Hampshire. And so I just rolled with that. Yeah. And so like on all of my government forms, I have, through 40 years of my life, put Boston, Massachusetts as my place of birth.
All right. As long as you're consistent, right?
Yeah, I'm consistent. Yeah. Exactly. So, but I was born in Nashua, New Hampshire, and my family just moved around a lot. My dad was in sales, and I joke that he was either really good at what he did or he sucked at it. But like every time we just kind of climbing the ladder and go in different places, and he seemed to have more influence and more success everywhere he went.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite place that you lived?
Yeah. I think that when I think about my childhood and like where I'm from, we spent my elementary school years here in Kansas City, where we're recording this episode. And that is when I think about the most fond memories of my childhood, it all stems from Kansas City. Okay. So, yeah.
Who was Jake as a kid?
I mean, my mom would probably disagree with what I'm about to say, but I think Jake as a kid, he was very driven. I have a brother who's 16 months younger than I am, and so I was a protector. He and I have been best friends our entire lives. We had to be because we were like our own support network as we moved around the country to all of these different places. Sure. So he was athletic. He was fun. He struggled in school, and he had a heart for protecting people.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So growing up, what was your first job?
Yeah. So my first W-2 job was working for the Chicago Bears.
Really?
Yes. I joke that being a good kid in high school actually does pay off for people because unbeknownst to anyone in high school, the locker room attendant at my high school also moonlighted for the Chicago Bears. And one day he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I've been watching you for the last couple of years," which, might sound creepy coming from the locker room attendant.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's all right.
But he's like, "You seem to be a really good kid. You've got a good head on your shoulders. There is an opportunity with the Chicago Bears. I would like to put your name up for an interview."
Nice.
And so he did that, and I went and I got the job. And so I worked for 3 seasons for the Chicago Bears.
What age did you start?
I started as a sophomore in high school. Okay. Yeah. So I worked there my sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school.
Nice.
Yep. It was a blast.
That's a good gig.
Yeah, it was a really good gig. Really good gig. The first entrepreneurial, like, money-making scheme that I got myself into, though, was my brother and I ran a paintball company.
Really?
And so we leased some farmland. We were living in Chicago at the time because of the Chicago Bears. Yep. But we were living in Chicago at the time, and so we leased some farmland on the Illinois-Wisconsin border. Okay. And we just charged our buddies to come play paintball with us for the day. Nice. So we'd $100 to come play, all you could play and eat, and we'd walk away with a weekend, $4,000 in cash. And
really?
Oh, yeah, it was incredible.
That's a lot of money.
It's a ton of money. Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible.
Right.
Still while in high school.
Still while in high school. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I love it. How long did you have that?
We did it for about 4 years. When I went away to college, my brother didn't do it on his own anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we started when I was a freshman.
That's incredible. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Or were you getting good?
At paintball?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
Good.
Terrible.
Good.
Terrible.
Me too.
But I was extremely good at like collecting money and telling people that they should come play with us.
Yes,
and,
the important part.
Right. I was good at solving problems.
Yes.
So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. All right. So how, and we'll get into how that led to where you are today, but where did you go after that? Did you go to college?
I did go to college.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to a small Native American college in Lawrence, Kansas.
Okay.
It's called Haskell Indian Nations University.
Okay.
So it's partially funded by the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I went to college.
Awesome. Major?
Business administration.
Okay.
Yep, with a minor in speech communication.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So where did you go from there?
Yeah. So I disappointed my parents.
Good.
I went for my freshman, sophomore, and junior year of college, and then I dropped out for 5 years.
Okay.
And so I ended up going back and finishing, but it took me about 10 years to finish my college education.
Yeah.
Because I dropped out to pursue success in a multi-level marketing business I was on fire for, and
hey,
it's the best practical business school I could have gone to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Did it work? Did
Yeah.
you learn?
Ton.
Did you make a little bit of money at least?
A little bit of money.
All right.
Yeah. And
That's success then.
just a ton of life lessons.
And if you got back to college to finish it up, that's absolutely a success to me.
Yeah.
So what, obviously getting into the hospitality, when was your first venture into the hospitality world?
Yeah. So after I had dropped out of college, I'd moved back to Kansas City.
Okay.
I'd gotten married. We were married for about 7 years, and then we got divorced. And in the process of me like recovering from the divorce and trying to find myself, I moved to Dallas to be closer to my brother.
Okay.
And just to start life over again.
Yeah.
We had so many like friends and memories here in Kansas City. I just didn't feel like I could continue to live here as I was trying to heal myself and find myself after the divorce.
Yep.
And when I got to Dallas, my buddy introduced me to a friend of his, and that friend happened to be a regional vice president for a hospitality company that was based out of Dallas.
Okay.
And he knew a little bit about my background, and part of my story is that I used to run a home handyman company.
Yep.
And so he's like, hey, I've got a couple Marriott properties that doesn't have a chief engineer. And so you don't have a job. Why don't you go screw in light bulbs and plunge toilets for me until you figure out what you want to do with your life? And it was just mutually beneficial for both of us. And what I wasn't expecting to do, Chase, was just fall in love with it. Like every time I walked by the front desk, I would ask someone to teach me something new about the computer system. And
Nice.
And I just absolutely fell in love with hospitality. And within 6 months of that first chief engineer job, I was promoted to an assistant general manager job at one of the hotels. I was chief engineer one, AGM of the other.
Okay.
And then within a year, they made me GM of my own hotel. And from there, it was kind of off to the races.
This is still in Dallas.
Still in the Dallas area.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. What level of class?
All select service.
Okay.
Yep. So primarily Hilton and Marriott. At the time when I first got started, I was working for Marriott properties.
Yep.
And in the Marriott world, they called them Sea First. So it was Courtyard, Fairfield, SpringHill Town Place.
Okay.
So kind of all Sea First hotels for Marriott.
Okay. And so you got your first GM role.
Mm-hmm.
Give us, how was that experience? How long did you do that role in that hotel?
Yeah. I was the general manager of that first hotel. It was a SpringHill Suites. And I was a general manager there for 3 years.
Okay.
Before the ownership group that owned that hotel ended up selling it.
Selling off.
Yep. And when they sold the hotel, they retained me or I'm sorry, they retained my staff, but they brought in their own management team. And so my management company sent me somewhere else.
Yeah. So you were out of a job there, but the same company sent you to a different hotel.
Yep.
Still in the Dallas area?
Still in the Dallas area.
Okay.
Yep.
What was that transition like? Is it easy? Because you are used to being uprooted and moved all over the place. So
Yeah.
was it an easy transition? Were you, putting down some roots in that hotel anyway? And was it difficult? How was that experience?
Yeah, it was really difficult because we had taken that hotel from it was in the bottom 5, not bottom 5%. It was in the bottom 5 of all SpringHill Suites within the Marriott system. It was a very underperforming hotel with a lot of challenges. And we were able to turn that hotel around over the course of a year and a half, which led to the ownership group being able to sell it.
Yeah.
I think when I left, we were in the top 50 for the brand. And so our GSS scores, our guest satisfaction scores were, constantly in the green, and we really turned that around. But through that fire of turning the hotel around, I developed a lot of really great relationships with people that I'm still actually friends with today.
That's fantastic.
And so when I left and they stayed, it was a little bittersweet.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. What was the process like? So obviously they sent you in. Mm-hmm. They said, we need a Winston Wolf.
Exactly.
Pull the guns out.
Yeah.
Take care of business.
Yeah.
What needed to be turned around? What was wrong to start out with, and what needed to be fixed?
Yeah. Just the lack of attention around customer service was really our downfall.
Okay.
The hotel had been managed as a profit center for the ownership and the management company, and not necessarily as a hotel that they cared about the guest service scores.
Okay.
And so as a result, there was underspending in the maintenance and upkeep of the hotel. There were just a lot of things that were allowed to slip. And because of that, over time, it compounded, and it just was a really dump. It was an interesting hotel.
So was this one that was within, did they buy the hotel and it was in that bad position, or it was already in their portfolio? It had been in their portfolio, just not being run well.
Yeah, it was in the portfolio and not being run well.
Okay.
When my management company that I was working for at the time took over management of those hotels, it was inside of that portfolio that they took over.
Okay.
And
so they took over the portfolio. So they weren't mismanaging it themselves.
Yeah, no.
They had pulled it into
Yep.
the portfolio and obviously needed to turn it around.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
What as far as the relationship with the brand themselves, obviously they don't like when the reviews are bad, when customers aren't happy, when the property's in bad shape. What were they requiring? Were they looking at pulling the flag?
Yes. Yeah. When I took over as general manager of that hotel, we were 3/4 of failed QAs. And so Marriott would have pulled the flag if we would have failed the fourth quarter.
Right.
And so
that was really close.
It was really close. Yeah. I mean, when I took over, I had a 90-day mandate and the 90-day mandate was to pass the QA. It wasn't to improve guest service scores. It wasn't, the rest of that stuff kind of happened over the course of time. But yeah, it was to get the hotel to pass a QA score and get off of the radar of getting the flag pulled.
Yeah. And those reviews, the customer, a lot of that kind of depends on the quality and the condition, of course. So naturally that will start to improve. Mm-hmm. Did you have to replace a lot of the staff? Did you keep a lot of them in place and just changed systems? Or how did you start to work through that?
Yeah, really what needed to happen is it was a couple of key positions that I needed to hire for. I retained most of the front desk staff because they were actually really great. Yeah. I hired a new executive housekeeper that had an alignment with my vision. And then I hired a breakfast person. And in those Sea First hotels, breakfast is included.
Yes.
That's a big selling point for those types of brands.
Absolutely.
And so I needed a really dynamic person that would be in breakfast that understood maintaining standards, but really was like the face of the hotel. I found this just amazing guy. He's still one of my best friends. He actually, when I got married the second time, he got ordained in order to perform that service for me.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those relationships are, and you're in the middle of fire together, right? And that is either going to completely push you apart because you don't believe in the same mission, or bring you together because you're working for the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened to us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
What are some key things that really helped you turn it around? Was it just throwing CapEx into the property, or was it obviously hiring these couple key roles, but how much capital needed to go in to get it into a better QA position?
Yeah, good question. Because there was so much volatility around whether it was going to be able to remain a Marriott property or not, the ownership group actually wouldn't invest any CapEx money. And so they understood that there was going to be a need of investment into the hotel in the future.
Okay.
But it was like, you got to prove to us that you're not going to lose the Marriott name in order for us to like invest real money into the hotel.
Interesting.
And so it was just doing a lot with a little.
Yeah.
It was
very little if you can't.
Right.
If it's in a bad QA position without any money.
So it was one of the hotels that I started as a chief engineer. And this is just kind of some of the thought process from the management team that I took it over from. I had a room that was out of order. This was in Dallas, in the market that's right down the street from Rangers Stadium, right across the street from a Six Flags water park, next to the Cowboys Stadium. Like, it's a high volume area all year round.
Yeah.
And we had a guest room that was out of order for 31 days because the toilet was running and he wouldn't approve me going and buying a new flapper for the toilet. And so, this is early 2010s.
Yeah.
And we're selling guest rooms at $119 a night during the summer.
Yeah.
And so for a $7 toilet flapper, we lost out on 30 days worth of revenue on that room.
Right.
And so that was just the thought process around spending money, because it was going to put us over budget. We couldn't spend the money, and it was like we were cutting our nose off to spite our face.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stories like that just was real frustrating to, when I took over, it was like, I'll take the heat if we're over budget by $7 for the toilet flapper.
Right.
But no one's going to complain, because when the Star Report came out at the end of the week and, our OC and our revenue was up, it'd be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a very short-sighted mindset to be worried about a few dollars, but knowing that that few dollars can mean a lot of dollars, $3,000 in revenue for a $7.
For a $7 part.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
And that was while you were the engineer.
Yeah.
But when you took over, you're like, we're not making those decisions.
Correct.
Was that decision from the general manager or the ownership?
Yeah, it was from the general manager.
Okay, so that was...
Yeah, I mean, I understand it once I got on his side of the desk, because so much of his bonus structure was tied to those performance metrics.
Yes.
Right? And so it probably would have adversely affected his money personally if he would have done it.
Right.
But when you zoom out and you're talking about a $3,000 potential revenue on a room for a $7 part, it just doesn't make sense. The fact that he was even in that position to have to make that decision is silly.
Yes. Yeah. And that's just an example of a poor payment structure that is even considered that he's going to kill the revenue that much just for adding a little bit to his own pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not necessarily his fault. I mean, that's the deal that they had written up.
For sure.
He was doing what he could to make his own money. Obviously, it doesn't work for ownership or the property itself. So you were given not a lot to be able to turn it around.
Yeah.
I would imagine you were able to turn it around without putting a lot of capital in.
Right.
Pass the QA.
Pass the QA.
All right. By a lot, by a little.
By a little.
Okay.
But pass is a pass.
A pass is a pass.
Pass
yes.
is a pass. Yeah.
And that got you to convince them to put some CapEx in.
Yep. To put some CapEx in. And so immediately what they did, one of our concerns, because it was such a high volume area, on a Saturday morning, the way that we were kind of tracking the usage of the hotel was by the number of plates that we would serve or like go through on a Saturday or Sunday morning.
Interesting.
That was just like a real quick way. Like we went through 500 plates, which means, that's how many, because families would come in and it was a 115 room hotel,
right? But
a family of 6 would come in and be in a 2-bedroom standard room and just destroy everything.
Yeah.
And so, when we had that much volume or traffic inside of our lobby area for breakfast, people couldn't eat. Like we would have lines down the hall on the first floor of people waiting to get scrambled eggs and, they're making noise, standing in line, talking to each other, disrupting the guests that are trying to sleep in the room. And it was just a really bad setup and a really bad flow. And so one of the very first things that the ownership group did for me is they actually expanded my lobby. And so they came in and added a bunch of extra square footage to the lobby so we could get some more tables and really kind of alleviated some of our breakfast pain.
Okay. Was that taking out rooms in order to do it or
No.
adding onto the property itself?
Yeah, no, we had some outdoor seating area, and so they just pushed out the enclosure to absorb some of that outdoor seating, and it worked out really well.
Smart. I like that.
Yeah.
Solve multiple problems at once.
The other thing that I convinced them to do was to get rid of our hot tub. Why you would have a hot tub at a hotel these days is just crazy to me. They are so finicky in the maintenance, and they're so dang expensive.
Yeah.
And so the juice isn't worth the squeeze. In fact, later on in my career, I made it my mission to every hotel that I was at to remove the hot tub, just because they were such a pain in the ass and just a cesspool of germs. It was just nasty.
Yes. Yeah. There's got to be a certain level of risk there with hot tubs because they are. I used to have a hot tub and it was a pain in the rear end to just keep it up. Yeah. Yeah. Much more difficult than the pool.
Right. And so we had a hot tub that wouldn't function as a hot tub. So it was like a cold plunge pool before cold plunging got cool.
Right.
And so I convinced the management group to get rid of the hot tub, and that immediately brought our guest service scores up because now there was nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
Right. It was broken and they couldn't use it. There was something to complain about.
Yes.
But if it didn't exist, there's nothing to complain about.
Exactly. Like the story I think Tony Robbins talks about. He was on a plane. It was the first plane to ever have Wi-Fi. And everybody was so excited. They got up in the air and the Wi-Fi stopped working. Yeah. And everybody was pissed. Yeah. Couldn't believe how upset everybody was for a Wi-Fi that they probably didn't even know existed when they got on the plane.
Yep. No. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I used to, at a college, one of my first jobs was as a corporate meeting planner for a company that would travel around and put on seminars around like how to use Excel or different things like that. And we used to always put coffee in the back of the room when we negotiate meeting space.
Yep.
And that consistently was the thing that always came up in the customer reviews was like coffee was terrible, coffee was too bitter.
Right.
So we just stopped putting in the coffee and automatically the customer service scores went up.
Right.
So
right. And if they want coffee, then they can be in charge of it or get Starbucks to bring it in. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, makes 100%. Sense. And then it's on them.
Exactly.
They can't complain to you for something they screwed up on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. What anything that stands out as far as what you were able to do to start turning around that first property?
Yeah. My dad told my brother and I growing up, and I love this. It's probably the best piece of management advice, Chase, that I've ever been given. It's that people don't respect what you expect. They respect what you inspect. And really where we saw the biggest change is because I had done the chief engineer job in the past myself, I wanted to make sure that like the person that took that mantle from me was upholding my standards.
Okay.
And so anytime I'd onboard a new engineer, we would do this training process where he would go in with some green painter's tape and he would walk through the room that he was going to PM that day and put green painter's tape around everything that he thought needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
And then I would go in and do blue painter's tape around the things that I thought. And then we'd walk the room together. And what happened over the course of the time when we do this together is like our visions in a room would match. And he was seeing the things that I knew that needed to be fixed.
Nice.
And so I took that same concept with the executive housekeeper that I hired. And she and I did the same process.
Nice.
Because the thing about clean, it's black and white. It's either clean or it's not clean.
Yes.
There's no sort of clean.
Yes.
Especially in the hotel. Like, if there's a hair, it is not clean.
It is not clean.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? And so us just being able to walk through the rooms together, I spent a lot of time inspecting rooms. I was a very active GM. I was not around behind the desk very often. One, because I didn't have an office.
Okay.
And so there was no desk for me.
Right.
They actually had to take a guest room, and they converted a guest room into the sales office and the general manager's office.
Okay.
So when the hotel was at its peak, we had the director of sales, the sales coordinator, the AGM, myself, and the chief engineer all officing out of the same guest suite that we converted.
All right. Out of the same 300 square foot.
Yeah. Yep.
All
yep.
right.
Yep.
Making us cozy together.
100%. And so I didn't want to be there very often.
Yeah.
And so I was out inspecting rooms, working with the housekeepers, making sure that clean was clean.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. How often are you're walking the property all the time. You're inspecting rooms, inspecting everything. How often are you needing to jump in and help either behind the desk checking in or help clean a room, fixing, obviously the maintenance. So
yeah,
fixing stuff yourself.
My comfortability was always either at the front desk or with maintenance.
Okay.
If I had to push a cart and clean rooms, like I'm doing a quarter of the board that the girls are normally doing, just because they're so dang fast and skilled and good at it. I think it would probably take me 15 minutes just to put pillowcases on Chase. And so, that just killed our profitability. But on days that you just have to.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the expectation for anyone in the hotel. I didn't care what role you were. You cleaned a board when you first got started.
Nice. How much cross-training between positions did you have to do?
Yeah, in those see-first environments where you don't have a lot of like extra facilities inside of the hotel, it was my opinion that everyone needed to know how to do everything.
Yeah.
Because the operations were fairly basic.
Yeah.
And so my front desk staff cross-trained with breakfast, so they knew how to start breakfast, so we never had an issue with it not being out on time. My maintenance staff and my housekeeping staff cross-train with each other. Our housekeepers knew how to, touch up drywall and touch up paint and just do some of those real basic things that needed to happen.
Yep, absolutely. And you've got a relatively small staff, and stuff happens with the staff. Stuff happens with a lot of guests coming in. Problems happen, and sometimes you got to jump over, cross lines, and just help out, make sure the team is going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what, this is all at one hotel.
All at one hotel.
They sold the property.
Right.
You essentially lost your job there, but that same management took you to the next property.
Yes.
Did they give you the best, something that's already at the top 30 of the properties across the country, or do they send Winston Wolfe back in?
Winston Wolfe came back in. And this hotel wasn't necessarily like the second hotel, in that first 3 years that I was managing that SpringHill that we've been talking about, the management company did a really good job of allowing me to go to other hotels inside of the portfolio to help out.
Nice.
And so I saw operations at bigger hotels, at different tier hotels. And so I got some exposure with some really cool things. And I had an idea of kind of what I wanted for my next posting.
Okay.
And I ended up going to a Hilton property, and the management company managed it, but it was owned by a different group, right? Like we had a bunch of different ownership contracts. Yep. And so we didn't work for just one owner.
Right.
And so this ownership group was more corporate. It was a bigger REIT, and they were less interested about customer service and customer service scores and more interested in bottom line numbers.
Okay.
And what I didn't know when I took over that hotel is there were some bills that they were 36 months behind on. And that just doesn't sit well with my integrity. If we've purchased something or used a product, we should be paying our local vendors for those.
Yeah.
And so I made it my mission to pay off a lot of those outstanding debts.
Okay.
But that was not advised by the ownership. They were not real happy with me for spending all of that extra money.
Sure.
And it did not end well for me in that environment because I didn't do what I was told to do.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, I don't know that you want to be in a position to where you are incentivized to not pay bills, right?
100%.
Long run, it's probably best to not be in that role if you're the kind of person that likes to pay your bills.
Well, and I just believe that when I pick up the phone and call someone and I expect them to come in and do a job, that they can rely on me to take care of their part of the transaction as well.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard when you start developing a reputation of someone who doesn't pay people to get someone to come in and fix something.
Right. Yeah.
And so that hotel had a off-grid generator, which I thought was really cool. But it didn't work. And it hadn't worked for 5 years because they couldn't, it was such a specialized product that there were only like 3 vendors in the entire Dallas area.
Yeah.
And all 3 of them had come out. All 3 of them never got paid and would never come back.
Oh, yeah. And then at that point, you've screwed yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
I ended up having to hire a car mechanic that I knew under the table in his off time to come work on that generator to get it up and running again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it brings up a key principle that if it's not a win-win, it's a lose-lose.
100%.
And you're always going to lose if you're trying to get something over the others and trying to get a win-lose for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll come back.
Right.
So you left that position.
Left that position, left that company.
Okay.
Left that management company. And it's really kind of where that experience, I didn't recognize it at the time, but that experience really catapulted me into what I did well. And so from there, I kind of turned into this fixer inside of the hospitality industry, where I was going around working for smaller family-owned companies that owned and operated, or smaller management companies that had poorly performing hotels inside of their portfolio.
Yeah.
And I'd go in, and the agreement was to just turn around hotels. And so I started going into some of those select service hotels that were on the chopping block, and 18 months, 24 months, get them turned around and move on to another location.
Nice. Where is that? Mostly there in the Dallas area?
No, I actually left Dallas in order to do that. So,
all right.
Houston, Indianapolis, Cincinnati.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Very nice. So again, moving yourself around.
Moving myself around.
And you're clearly comfortable with that. That's not a bad trait to have.
Yeah.
Moving around, that's where, like you said, you really jumped into that fixer role. You really found that perfect fitted black suit.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. This image is not coming out of my mind. It's just further ingrained into the foundation of who you are in my head anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So going around, how many hotels did you touch in this period, and how long of a period is this?
Yeah, it's 7 years, and it's 12 hotels in 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turned around a lot. Multiple different ownerships or management companies.
Yes.
So what are some key things that you learned through that process of how to work with the owners directly on what they need to do in order to, whether it's putting the capital in or replacing staff? What were some of the biggest things that you learned, or the hardest pieces to that puzzle?
Yeah, I think the experience that I had at that Hilton property that wasn't paying its bills, what I learned coming out of that was to ask better questions up front about what the expectation was. Like, what's the goal of owning this property? One of the hotels that I had in Houston was owned by Goldman Sachs, and it was a part of the portfolio, and it was on the books as a loss. and they actually didn't want the hotel improved. They wanted it to be a tax write-off for them.
Sure.
And so
Okay.
by asking better questions about what the expectation was for the hotel up front, I was able to tailor my management style to what the owner needed.
Nice.
If the hotel owner was expecting to win awards, then the conversation turned into, this is what we need to do in order, what you're going to have to do in the way of spending, what I'm going to have to do in the way of operations and developing teams. So
Nice. So a conversation that I have all the time with owners is that are potentially considering selling or changing something because something is not working. And whether they're just getting old and they want to retire, or they want to take a step back and grow, or they just want to be out of the business, whatever it is that decision. Do I sell now and just be done with it? Do I want to sell and get into a different property that's going to better suit my long-term goals? Do I hire a manager in order to take care of that? And really finding the right mix, and not just, as a broker, of course, everybody thinks that, I just want to sell. And I mean, that is my job. That's what I help do. But really taking a step back and taking more of a consultative role, I'll say, in looking at the situation, asking those good questions, getting clarity, again, like what you were just saying, on their goals. What is it that they want this to do? What benefit do they want out of it? And then making the right decision.
yeah, no, I think that is so wise, right? As a broker, you're a guide, you're a Sherpa. And, to your point earlier, it has to be a win-win.
Yes.
Right. And so finding out why someone wants to sell or why someone wants to hold is extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that in my experience, organizations that owned and operated were too close to it, and it was very difficult for them.
Okay.
That the families that owned operated hotels were doing that because, one, they thought they were qualified, or two, because they just didn't want to spend the money on a management contract.
Right.
But the problem is the management company that can come in and do that hotel has the systems and processes already in place.
Right.
And so they can, out of the box, cookie cutter, like go in and establish those things right away. And for an owner who has never done it before, who also wants to operate, establishing those things it's difficult.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think one of the problems, and this is a conversation that I have a lot, is when you're looking at, say you have an owner, they need to hire a manager. It makes the most sense to hire a manager.
Yeah.
A lot of those managers, the management companies, they're great at sales. They know what to say. What questions should they be asking in order to know that the management company will actually do what it is that they're saying going to do, other than just, I know the business, I know what to say to impress you and get you to sign the contract, and then I make my money.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think that it's access to information. Like, hey, I need to see GSS scores for the last 3 years on, the top 3 performing hotels in your portfolio and the bottom 3 performing hotels in your portfolio.
Okay.
I want to see P&Ls. And just not being ashamed to ask for data. Right. If someone can say that they can do it, they should be able to back it up with data.
Yeah.
And just not being afraid to ask for that data up front. Anytime I would go in to manage a hotel, my request was, I want to do a secret shop one night.
Okay.
And I want the P&Ls for the last 3 years.
Yeah. And
those two things, I could put together a really good picture of where the deficiencies were inside of the property before I walked in on my first day.
Right. Right.
And it's no different when you're hiring a management company. You should be able to find out what other hotels that they manage. You should be able to go have breakfast or walk that property and get a good idea for what level of oversight that management company has on their properties.
Yep. Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And in knowing, because if you're there personally, you obviously see the cleanliness of the hotel, the cleanliness of the lobby, how the employees interact with you, how they do all the service, obviously the quality of the building in general, and you know what to look for. that normal guests aren't going to see.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff just jumps out at you. When you're in the
Yes.
business, it just it jumps out.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So you aren't in the hospitality business now.
No,
that
I'm not.
ended. What was your take on leaving? Why did you leave it, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I ended up a statistic around COVID. Managed a hotel through COVID up in the Cincinnati area, and it was just a really tough environment. I had to furlough all but 4 staff members through the process. We stayed open through all of COVID, and so it was me and 4 employees running a hotel that is open 24 hours a day.
Right.
And we did it for 14 months. And it was just exhausting and tiring. And then post-COVID, I saw the writing on the wall around what hiring was going to look like inside of the industry. And I just was tired of making other people money. I wanted to go find something that would provide me some intrinsic value for myself. Yeah.
So what are you doing now?
Well, currently, I am the co-founder of an organization called Gathering the Kings. We're an entrepreneurial mastermind company, and we just help business owners succeed not only in business, but pursue areas of success in their family, their marriage, in their health, in their faith walks. So,
yeah. It's got to be a pretty fulfilling to actually see the differences that you've made, similar to what you were doing in the hotels. Like you could see physically the differences, but you could also, I would imagine, could see the differences in the owners, the management companies, and their bottom line, but their peace of mind is a direct connection.
Yeah. The thing that got me out of the bed every day when I was in hospitality, it wasn't running the best hotel. It was training the best managers. I wanted to be known for the person that developed people that could go on and have long-standing careers inside of the hospitality industry.
Right.
It's something that I'm really proud of. I still stay in contact with a lot of the people that worked under me and then were promoted out. I'm still a resource for a lot of them.
Nice.
And that was always the funnest aspect of the job for me.
Sure.
And so with what I'm doing now with Gathering the Kings, it's the same concept. I get to go in and help business owners develop people so that they can have a positive impact in their communities.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Kind of was the coach, John Wooden,
Yes.
I think, that had like a crazy number of his assistant coaches that went on to be very, very successful head coaches.
Right.
And very similar. Like it's not, you're not afraid to train the best to be even better, to potentially, the fear that a lot of leaders have is that you're going to train your own replacement, and you have to be very secure in what you're doing and know that maybe you are, but you're also going to get the top pick of assistant coaches, assistant managers, whatever, throughout the industry, because you have a reputation for training the best.
Yeah.
Top.
One of my very early mentors in the hospitality space told me one day, she's like, if you're not doing something every day to teach someone how to do something that you know how to do, then you've wasted your time. And I just took that to heart, because to your point, so many people are so close to the vest on this is what makes me unique and I can't share it because someone will take my job if they know how to do it.
Right.
And I just don't live in that mentality.
Right.
If I know it, I want you to know it so you can be better also.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Before we check out, I like to do the segment that we call the wake-up call.
Okay.
So rapid fire, just a few questions just to get some quick answers from you.
All right.
First off, what is the most ridiculous request that you've ever had from a guest? Or unusual. I don't want to say ridiculous.
Okay.
What is the most unusual request that you've ever seen from a guest?
A lady wanted to deep fry a turkey in her hotel room.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. She was all excited about tailgating a Cowboys game, and the weather turned bad. And so she I was thankful that she asked me before
Yes.
she actually just did it.
Yes.
But she wanted to deep fry a turkey in my hotel room.
That was an easy yes, right?
Yeah, definite. Yeah,
As
insurance
long
policy
as you
would
share with
definitely
me.
co-sign on that. Yeah.
Yes. What is something that you wish all hotel owners knew?
Oh, what a great question. My immediate thought was I wish all hotel owners have read the book Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. Fantastic book. It's written from the vein of restaurants,
Yes.
but it applies to hospitality in hotels as well. So that's one thing I wish that they all would read. I think the one thing that I wish that all hotel owners knew is just how much abuse that their employees take from the guests.
Right.
It's really pervasive, and it's pretty crazy that people feel like they can walk into a hotel and treat people the way that they do.
Yes. That has to be, especially the front desk, the housekeepers, has to be one of the hardest jobs out there because they're obviously dealing with all of the complaints. I mean, traveling is hectic. It's frustrating anyway, and you're dealing with all of their problems. Plus, you're dealing with the all of the people, the staff inside the hotel, and coordinating and keeping all of that pulled together. And what is the most underappreciated position in a hotel?
The most underappreciated position in the hotel, I would probably say, is the F&B team or like the breakfast team in my select service hotels. They typically come in extremely early.
Yeah.
They get their job done. There's really no guests or other staff members around. And then they're getting things cleaned up and they're out of the hotel as the rest of the staff is arriving and getting their day started. And so there's a big disconnect between that team and the rest of the staff.
What is one, you mentioned the one book, but do you have any other book or podcast or quote that has really stuck with you, that has made a difference in your career?
Yeah, that's a really fantastic question. When I was young, in my early 20s, I got a hold of a mentor, and he told me that all leaders are readers. If you want to be a leader of men, you have to be a learner. Yep. And so I have just consumed knowledge however I can, whether it's podcasts or books. I very rarely listen to the radio. I'm always listening to something that is working on me. In my experience, when someone achieves a certain level, they become unwilling to learn and be pliable and challenge their own way of thinking on things. Yep. And it makes them stagnant, and then it makes them unrelatable.
Right.
And so I guess my response to the question is, I don't care what it is, just do something. Yeah. Listen to a podcast, listen to some books. There are so many fantastic resources out there. Right now, I'm obsessed with this guy by the name of Mo Bennell. He has written a book called Give to Grow. And the whole concept is, how can I give from the abundance of my heart to you in order to make your life better? And like, how is that going to come back and affect me in the future? Interesting.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, fantastic.
And to that point, one of my favorite quotes, Zig Ziglar says, the learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped to handle a world that no longer exists.
That's right. Yeah.
Kind of surprised I could say all that on camera.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Jake, thank you so much for coming on. I've had a blast. Anything else you would like to share with our group before we take off?
I just think it's cool that you're doing this. I mean, what podcast should people in the hotel industry be listening to? It's yours, because there aren't a lot out there. Yeah. And so, this should be a weekly favorite and something that everyone in the industry should be listening to, because if we can just up-level our knowledge through the stories and experience of other people, that's how we become wise.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Jake.